from Sunday. Deputy White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders now reinforcing President Trump's call for an investigation into former President Obama and his administration. So where does it go now? House Intelligence Committee member Trey Gowdy is with me. He says it's already happening. And sir, good morning to you. So our viewers know you met with the FBI director last week, correct?
Yes, sir. Thursday, House Intel behind closed doors for several hours, and he stayed later than he was designed to stay to answer more of our questions.
Wow. How much of that can you share with us and our audience now then?
Exactly what I shared, that he came, that he answered our questions, and that he stayed a good long while. But
so
there's a reason we do it behind closed doors.
I get it. There was no knowledge of what the president tweeted on Saturday morning about the Obama team surveilling Trump Tower.
First I heard it was Saturday morning.
And what did you think when you heard that, sir?
Bill, it's really hard to cross-examine tweets. I need witnesses. I need documents. There are only two ways U.S. citizens' electronic communications can be intercepted. One's Title III, which is a criminal inquiry. The other is FISA, which is an intelligence inquiry. There is no other way for it lawfully to be done. The good news about both of those, Bill, is there's a paper trail. There's an application, there are warrants, all of which can be reviewed. And right now, the executive branch is controlled not by the Obama administration, but by the Trump administration. So whatever information is out there, and there would be a paper trail, is now controlled by the executive branch run by Mr. Trump.
We've got reaction on all this. Adam Schiff, first up, a Democrat on that committee. You know, you work with him well. He called the accusation on Sunday destructive. The other word he used was baseless. What does he know?
He doesn't know any more than I know, and I'm sure Adam used to be a federal prosecutor. I'm sure what he meant to say was we need to interview all of the witnesses, we need to access all of the documents, and we're going to wait to make any conclusions until we have done both of those things. I'm sure that's what he meant to say.
Right. He did not say that, as you know.
No, he did not say that.
Bob Woodward said this on Fox News Sunday about the House's ability to investigate. Watch.
Congress also is not very well equipped to do this. They've had some flops in recent investigations. So the quality of information, of evidence we're liable to get is going to be weak. I have to recall Watergate went on for 2 years and 2 months to get some sort of closure and clarity.
Well, we're not going that far, but what do you think about his comment about the amount of information, the quality of evidence, et cetera?
I think Congress is much better equipped to do investigations than journalists are. We can't rely on anonymous sources. We can't rely on leaked information, classified information, which in and of itself is a crime. So with all due respect to the reporters, I can't cross-examine anonymous sources. You can't even directly examine them. It's a lot easier to write a news piece than it is to conduct an investigation. What Congress needs is access to the witnesses, access to the documents, and to understand we don't run parallel criminal investigations. We have a job to do, but it is not to investigate crime.
Have you seen evidence that the Obama team did surveillance at Trump Tower?
No, sir.
Have you seen evidence that the Trump team colluded with the Russians during the election last year?
No, sir, and reports to the contrary have been described as demonstrably false to me by people who would know.
Jason Chaffetz, your colleague, said last hour the Obama team is notorious for this, suggesting notorious for spying. What can you add to that?
Nothing. I don't view it as the Obama team. I don't think the FBI is the Obama team, and I don't think the men and women who are career prosecutors at DOJ belong to any team other than a blindfolded woman holding a set of scales. We have certain tools that this country needs to keep us safe. And it is great and wise and prudent and legal for those tools to be used lawfully and appropriately. If they're not used lawfully and appropriately, there is a paper trail, and we will be able to find it out. The Obama team is no longer in charge. So any information that the current Department of Justice has that suggests the previous Department of Justice acted inappropriately, they are welcome to release it.
Sir, thank you for your time. Back home in Greenville, South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
More to come. Trey Gowdy, thank you. 20 minutes now past the hour.
The White House now saying it will roll out its revised travel ban today. and there are going to be some big changes to the original version. Judge Andrew Napolitano is here to tell us whether it's going to survive any legal challenges once it's actually put into action.
We cannot allow a beachhead of terrorism to form inside America. We cannot allow our nation to become a sanctuary for extremists.
Major ISIS stronghold in Iraq, we are told. Troops now fighting the toughest battle since Iraqi forces pushed into western Mosul just about 2 weeks ago. About 45,000 people have fled the city for refugee camps there today.
There are also new reports that the terror group is fighting back with suicide car bombs and chemical weapons. The Red Cross says doctors have treated at least 12 people for chemical weapons exposure this week, many of them children. Joining me now, Michael Waltz, a former Green Beret commander and counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Dick Cheney, also a Fox News contributor. Good to see you this morning.
Hey, good morning, Shannon.
Okay, so one London-based research and intel watch group says that there are 52 times they count at least that ISIS has used chemical weapons, 19 of those in or around Mosul. It's potentially a war crime. Does that matter to ISIS?
Well, let's take a step back for a moment, Shannon. I think for those that wonder and question why the United States needs to be involved in the Middle East, why these wars are worth American blood and treasure, former CIA director John Brennan testified last year that he believes ISIS is capable of producing on its own chemical weapons. Now, I think we all know that in addition to using them on the battlefield, they would love to use them in spectacular attacks in Europe and in the United States. We have to destroy this group. We have to do it quickly. And then we have to get to a longer-term strategy of how we undermine this ideology so that some group like it doesn't pop up again.
And speaking specifically of Mosul, we know for months there's been an ongoing battle there. The eastern part was, we're told, liberated essentially in January, but this alleged chemical attack happened there. How much of this is psychological for the people there? Essentially the troops on the ground, they've got to wear special gear. It presents a new challenge for them.
Well, we believe the reporting indicates that rockets were launched from the western side of the city into the eastern side of the city that's been liberated. But you make a great point. It's incredibly difficult for these rockets to be accurate, or for ISIS or groups like them to make them accurate and to employ chemical weapons in a militarily effective way. But what they do is they create a huge psychological effect. They instill fear, and they're massively disruptive to an attacking force because they have to stop and use this bulky, difficult protective gear. I don't think the Iraqi army really, frankly, has the ability to fully protect itself, but we have American advisors that are very close to the front lines right now, that are right up there with the Iraqi forces facing this type of threat. And it's certainly something that they're going to have to take into account as they move forward.
And one of the first things the president did upon being inaugurated was launch this 30-day clock for his top military and strategic advisors to get together a plan for getting rid of ISIS. That has, we understand, been submitted. So where do we go from here? How is the fight against ISIS going to be different under a Trump administration than it was under Obama?
Well, that's going to be a much bigger issue, and that strategy needs to, while it's coming from the Pentagon, has to take into account economic considerations, intelligence considerations, and most importantly, diplomatic considerations. And that's why our State Department is so important, in that Turkey has a stake in this, Russia has a stake in it, and right now we're talking about what's going on in Iraq, but right over the border we also have the offensive going on against the Islamic capital of Raqqa, where you have Turkey fighting U.S.-backed Kurdish rebels. You have Iran aligned with Russia. I mean, it is a diplomatic kind of Gordian knot that we need to figure out how we want this to look at the end, and then build the military strategy to achieve that political end.
Yeah, and a lot of folks saying that the new revised travel ban, which takes Iraq off the list, that's in part connected to all of the things you just mentioned, because we do see them as a very important partner in that region. All right, Michael Waltz, good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
North Korea is at it again, firing 4 ballistic missiles into the Sea of Japan. What will the White House now say about this today? Plus, this.
I think he's right in that there was surveillance, and that it was conducted at the behest of the attorney of the Justice Department through the FISA court.
President Trump facing a backlash over his accusation against former President Obama and his administration. But is there a double standard going on here when it comes to anonymous sources? Our panel's going to weigh in.
It's very interesting, George, how when this past president says it's false, everybody's like, oh, well, obviously it is. But when we've been saying it for the last 6 months, nobody believes it.
And North Korea firing 4 ballistic missiles toward the Sea of Japan early Monday morning. That latest act of aggression appears to be reaction to the joint military exercises between the U.S. and South Korea that will go now for several weeks. Senior Foreign Affairs correspondent Greg Palcott live in London for the latest on this and what is happening. Greg.
Bill, according to reports, President Trump was warned by outgoing President Obama that North Korea would be the most urgent problem confronting him on the world stage, and today's events underscores that very fact. The missile launch is just more of many we have seen in recent months. Most of today's banned ballistic projectiles traveling over 600 miles into the Sea of Japan, just off the coast of key U.S. ally Japan. The State Department condemned the actions. Japanese Prime Minister Abe today calling the launches a new stage of threat. Experts there today saying it could be a warm-up to what's described as a saturation attack against Japan by North Korea, a large number of missiles overwhelming the defenses there. Remember, too, there are 50,000 U.S. troops based in Japan. Meanwhile, in Pyongyang today, a so-called mobilization rally staged by the regime. Again, North Korea upset about just started and massive U.S.-South Korean military exercises. The annual event usually triggers some kind of response from North Korea. This as North Korean ambassador to Malaysia was booted out of that country today. The Malaysian Prime Minister is saying that he was defending the sovereignty of the country. This following the killing, remember, last month of the estranged half-brother of the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, who allegedly ordered the hit. Bill, reports are that President Trump is soon to be getting a list of options in dealing with North Korea being prepared by his staff in the White House. A lot of options, a difficult problem. Back to you.
Greg, thank you. Greg Palcott reporting from London on all of that. Thank you, Greg.
President Donald Trump in the White House facing a broad pushback over his claim that President Obama ordered the wiretapping of Trump Tower during the campaign. But is the idea so far-fetched? The Trump administration is battling a mountain of leaks they suspect are coming from Obama holdovers. Former Attorney General Michael Mukasey says President Trump is partially right, but doesn't think the proof should be made public. Listen.
I think the president was not correct, certainly, in saying that President Obama ordered a tap on a server in Trump Tower. However, I think he's right in that there was surveillance and that it was conducted at the behest of the attorney of the Justice Department through the FISA court. And the only way to verify whether there was electronic surveillance is to disclose the warrant and to disclose the fruits of it, and that should not be done even in a political storm as hot as this one.
Joining me now, Marianne Marsh, former senior advisor to John Kerry, and Katie Pavlich, news editor for townhall.com and a Fox News contributor. Good to see you both this morning.
Good morning.
All right, also on the Sunday shows yesterday, the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, said, Katie, that if this went on, he would know about it. He categorically denied it. So why is that not the end of the story?
Well, let's not forget who James Clapper is and the lack of credibility that he has. He's the same NSA director who lied under oath about the fact that the NSA was also surveilling Americans based on some of the things that he wouldn't disclose. And so he's not exactly the best source for the Obama administration and the left to be using when it comes to battling this issue. But in terms of how we move forward with this, it's going to be very difficult for either side to get any kind of evidence, because if there is an ongoing investigation with the FBI, they're going to deny it. They're not going to release the warrants. It's an ongoing investigation, so they're not going to comment on it. And on the political side with the Trump administration, they're not going to get that information and be able to produce it to the public as evidence because, again, it's an ongoing investigation. So whether this is true or not is still to be seen. It's not out of the question based on the Obama administration's behavior during Obama's 8 years in office. And if you look at the statement released by Obama's spokesperson, it doesn't specifically say that the administration, that no one in the administration ordered these wiretaps, which did come to fruition last summer. It specifically says nobody in the White House did. So that doesn't mean